Today on Monkey Life, 10 new ugly monkeys are given a new home.
A lot of hard work has gone in to make these 10 Stump-tails a good retirement home.
A worrying operation for chimp Athena.
Something's poked in the eye and it's showing no signs of healing, and she's doing this all the time.
And a sticky surprise for Hananya's gang. This is Monkey World in Dorset. It's home to more than 240 monkeys and apes and is the largest sanctuary of its kind on the planet. Dr. Alison Cronin and her team dedicate their lives to rescuing and rehabilitating primates from all over the world.
They're all going to have a chance to live proper lives again. Perfect.
As the residents of the park enjoy an early breakfast, workers are busy putting the final touches to a new Stumpie house, because today there are going to be 10 new arrivals. The 6 existing stump-tailed macaques are going to be joined by another group, who are being retired from a laboratory in Scotland. And Alison is on her way to pick them up.
Today's the day for our 10 new Stump-tailed macaques, so really excited, actually.
Wilmot and the other ugly monkeys, as they're affectionately known, have lived in the lab facility, owned by the Medical Research Council, for more than 20 years. They were used in reproductive studies.
We have so many different individuals at the park, but nonetheless, every time you go out and meet somebody new, and in this case, 10 new people, their little needs and eccentricities and who's grumpy and who's not, you know, it's just really special. We've built them a purpose-built building at the park just to meet their needs, and hopefully, you know, we'll be able to provide them with a more natural environment so that Wilmot and all of the ladies can sort of have a good, you know, feet-up retirement and be able to exhibit all of that natural behavior that's tucked away inside that hasn't been able to come out yet.
Like all new residents, the Stumpies will have a health check once they arrive at the park.
Can you see your belly?
The care staff keep a close eye on all the primates to make sure they're not suffering from any illnesses or discomfort. Recently, they've noticed that Athena, a chimp in Paddy's group, has been having a problem with one of her eyes, which she's been rubbing constantly.
Everyone's got a soft spot for her, and we're obviously worried about what's going on, and it's distressing to see her so uncomfortable and really not being able to do anything to relieve that discomfort. So we really need to see what's going on and get to the bottom of the problem so that we can, you know, make it better for her.
So the veterinary team, headed up by the park's vet, Mike Nathan, have decided to anaesthetise Athena and take a closer look. Once she's asleep, Animal Director Jeremy carries her into the chimp's bedroom.
No. Which way round do you want her?
They've decided to carry out the procedure here rather than the hospital to minimise any stress and reduce the amount of time she's asleep. It's very unusual for chimps to show they're in pain, because in the wild, this would be seen as a sign of weakness and would make them vulnerable. Mike is concerned Athena could lose the sight in her eye if he doesn't get to the bottom of the problem.
I'm looking to see, and I've found that she's got an ulcer on her eye. I'm now what I'm doing is debriding the edge of it. That means taking off the edge with a sterile swab. I can't see what's caused it. It's not a horrible one, but it's obviously been very painful.
Mike applies a green dye, so the ulcer is visible to the team.
It's on the cornea itself. See that area there, that's shining green?
That green is the
green is the
indication.
dye, the fluorescent dye,
Which shows it up.
which shows it up. And I've just rubbed the edge of that because you can see an edge.
Yeah,
around
I can
here.
see that. I can see that.
Right, all the way there. Breathing okay, Penny?
Yes, it is. It's fine.
Unfortunately, what's happened is something's poked in the eye, and it's showing no signs of healing at the moment. Normally, if there's signs of healing with a deep ulcer, you'll see blood vessels coming from the edge of the eye across to it. There's nothing like that visible. It's actually not a particularly deep ulcer, but it's not showing any signs of healing, and she's doing this all the time. Normally, you put in antibiotic drops on a regular basis, which I haven't a hope of doing. I'm going to give her an injection under her eyelid now.
Athena will be in a lot of pain when she wakes up from the operation, so Mike covers her eye with anaesthetic gel to ease the discomfort.
This gives you the most intense relief. That lasts for about an hour maximum, but I can't do any more than that. We've ruled out there's nothing horrible happening in the eye, apart from a lot of pain from an ulcer. Anybody who's had anything superficially on their eye will know it's intensely painful. And unfortunately, you can't stop her rubbing it because she can use her hands. If this is a dog or cat, in theory, you could put them in a collar. A human, you tell them, thou shalt not. But you can't do that to her. Yeah, but have it.
Now the team have an anxious wait for Athena to come round from the anaesthetic. As well as regular health checks, staff are keen to make sure all the primates eat well and have a balanced diet. At the squirrel monkey enclosure, latest addition Fidget, along with the 4 females Alien, Samantha, Topsy and Turvy, are awaiting some tasty treats.
Today we're just putting some baskets up with some browse in, and it's actually cherry browse, so it's got the fresh cherries on it. But we're also putting a few bits of extra yummy food in as well for the ones that don't really like the cherries, so they've got something.
The staff try to ensure their food is as similar as possible to that which they would find in the wild. For these guys, that includes insects, grubs and fruit. It doesn't take long for the group leader to get stuck in.
We first have Alien here at the moment. She's always first on scene, mostly because she's dominant, but also because she's very greedy as well, so she always wants to be first to investigate anything. Well done, Alien.
The staff bury the food in the browse to help encourage their foraging instincts.
It just means that they have to work it so they can get the food out, and the holes are quite small as well, so it just means that it will take them a little bit longer to figure it out.
Fidget has been at the park for 3 months now and is getting on well with the ladies, but is still a bit unsure of his position in the group.
The others are all mingling around. Fidget's quite low in the hierarchy, so he'll probably wait towards the end.
But while the others get in a bit of a spin or make a song and dance about it, Fidget quietly nips in.
Hi, Fidge. There's a cherry there, just for you.
Alison has arrived at the lab in Scotland, where the Stumpies are being carefully packed into travelling crates for their journey back to the park.
The guys are starting to box them up, so we've already got 3 or 4 ladies into the boxes.
They'll be transported by van to Edinburgh Airport and then loaded onto a flight to Southampton. These guys have never been outside before, so this is a big adventure, but also a potentially dangerous one, because some of these Stumpies are fairly old and rather frail. Ugly monkeys aren't as light as they look. On average, they each weigh about 15 kilos, although Wilmot, the only male in the group, is 20 kilos.
You know what? These guys have been absolutely brilliant. All 10 monkeys boxed up, no stress, not even a little wah in the process. Nobody's upset. Look, we've got Miriam right here tootling about. They've had breakfast in there, and you don't sit down and tuck into your breakfast if you're feeling too bothered. See you guys later.
Alison has spent weeks trying to make sure everything runs smoothly. The most important thing is that the monkeys are kept as calm as possible on the flight. Alison checks each of the boxes before they're loaded onto the plane.
Hello, Cola. You're a good girl.
So everybody's really fantastic. I'm really surprised, just done a quick survey around, and even with all of the noise, they're all just sitting and actually up towards the front, looking back at you. I think we just have to get passenger bags loaded on, then the monkeys go on so that they're the first off. And Wilmot, I've already discussed it with the guys. The guys asked, Wilmot gets his position right by the door so that he's the first one off because his box is heavier and they don't want to hurt their backs.
It's a worrying time for Alison, who knows some of the elderly Stumpies may struggle with the flight.
One left to go, and that's Wilmot. So yeah, 9 down, 1 to go, and here he comes.
Wakey, wakey. Come on.
Athena still hasn't woken after the operation to remove an ulcer on her eye.
We do like you to wake up. It's best if you wake up. Just right now, it's good if you wake up.
When she finally stirs, Jeremy leaves her to come round on her own. She's a strong chimp and could easily overpower him.
Really, now we just got to keep her antibiotic going and her pain relief going, and time will be the healer.
What happens with these ulcers is you take the edge off the cornea, just imagine it like a little crater in there, but it's not, and you get rid of that and it'll heal fine. Other times you have to keep doing it. I just hope that this will do in one go, and if we give her a few hours of her stopping rubbing her eyes, it might make a hell of a difference.
It'll be a couple of weeks before the team know whether the procedure has been successful. But so far, it's all gone well. Meanwhile, over at Hananya's enclosure, the chimps there are about to have a sticky surprise.
We've got some very large plastic tubs full with jelly, and we've put them all around the enclosure, some on the high platform, some on the low. We've also got some big plastic tubs of ice lollies full to the brim.
But it's not just jelly and ice on offer.
We've put a hammock in the outside of Hananya's with some of these play balls in, but inside some of them we've injected some juice and some yoghurt, which we've put in the fridge. We've also got some with a little bit of jelly inside, so obviously they'll have to find the ones that have the goodies in.
First out is Simon, who heads straight for a large bucket of jelly. Leader Hananya can't decide whether to eat it or sit in it. But it's his stomach that wins the day. All the group are very excited. As Hananya climbs onto the platform, first Valerie and then Cherry show respect to their boss before they all dig in. Low-ranking Arthur hones in on an unoccupied bucket, but keeps an eye out in case one of the higher rankers decide they want it. Marjolaine isn't sure about the jelly, but quite likes the watermelon. The primate care staff are constantly coming up with new challenges for the chimps to keep them stimulated. In the wild, not only do they have to find different food sources, they have to work out how best to get at them. So, although this is a nice treat for the group, there is a purpose to it. Shamak is finding it difficult to get to the melons, but he's a clever chimp and knows he has to break the ice. His perseverance eventually pays off, and he grabs the whole haul for himself. Cookie is really using her brains. Instead of getting all sticky, she makes herself a spoon out of the pineapple leaves. Peggy has been particularly clever. She's found another way of enjoying the treats without getting messy. Hananya's intrigued. As alpha male, he could demand the bottle, but he's sensible enough to keep his ladies on side and lets dominant female Peggy enjoy it in peace. Simon, on the other hand, isn't having quite as much success. Zeynep has found the hammock of fruit balls. Like many primates, chimps have opposable thumbs. meaning they can grasp and manipulate objects easily. She's an intelligent chimp and makes light work of untying the knot. It's been quite a day. And with all the jelly and fruit gone, Simon and the others decide it's time for a bit of shut-eye. Three months ago, woolly monkey Piquita gave birth to a baby daughter, and the staff have finally decided on a name. They couldn't choose one immediately because they weren't sure what sex the baby was, and they also wanted to get to know her personality.
It took a while to decide on the baby's name. We all discussed it between ourselves and had lots of suggestions, but we've decided to call her Isla, which means moonlight, and seeing as we discovered her while it was still dark, it seemed quite fitting. She's quite a precocious little baby, so she takes after her mum. She's bang on target for all of her little development milestones, so even though she's still really, really tiny, she's actually started to climb quite confidently. She's moving around a little bit on her own, but Piquita always stays close to make sure that she's okay. The groups accepted her really, really well. On day one, Julio and Diego actually went up to her and greeted her, which was really amazing to see. The males, like they should do, are staying out the way, trying not to be too annoying to Piquita, because it's their role to stay back, make sure everything's safe and not interfere.
Piquita lost her baby son Raul last year when he fell and suffered a head injury. It was a tragic accident, which the staff are determined to make sure won't happen again.
We've tried to make the woolly house as safe as possible, so as well as keeping it fun and practical for them, we've added a few extra bits and bobs. So we've got a great big cargo net up in the rafters, just in case anybody happens to lose their footing, they can catch themselves in that. And we've covered the whole of the floor of the enclosure in a big thick layer of bark chip, so it's nice and spongy should anybody happen to fall off of anything. We're hoping things are going to continue to go well, because Piquita had a rough time losing Raul, and this time things are looking really positive, so we've all got our fingers crossed.
Alison and the Stump-tailed macaques have landed at Southampton Airport. She's desperate to make sure the monkeys are all okay.
Can I just have a look over your shoulder, mate? Yeah, fantastic. All of the boxes are in perfect nick. Smells a bit macaque in there, but yeah, we're good.
The crates are carefully loaded into a van for the last leg of the journey to the park. This part of the operation can't be rushed, as the Stumpies need to be kept as calm as possible.
It's off down to the new life. So it'll be good to get them settled into the park and everybody to bed, but they're looking fantastic.
At the park, a welcoming committee has gathered, keen to catch a glimpse of the new arrivals and get them settled in the brand new Stumpy house that's been built especially for them. 7 hours after leaving the lab in Scotland, the Stumpies finally arrive at their new home. Everyone is keen to get them out of the crates as soon as possible. For Alison, it's a huge relief.
This has taken a huge amount of work and planning. You know, the lab supported us in building this building so that the Stump-tails had a good retirement home. George and the maintenance team have killed themselves getting this house up and right. The primate care staff have kitted it out just lovely.
Wilmot, the only male, is released first.
Good boy. It's okay, take it easy, mate.
Closely followed by the 9 ladies. It'll take a while for them to adjust to their new surroundings, but the first signs are positive. In Scotland, these monkeys were confined indoors, but in the coming weeks they'll be allowed outside for the first time in their lives. And it's not just the monkeys trying to familiarise themselves. The primate care staff too have a lot of new faces to get to know. The long journey certainly hasn't put 25-year-old Miriam off her food. Until now, these Stumpies have only ever lived in very small groups. The team hope eventually they'll all be happy to live together, along with the park's other set of ugly monkeys. But that process will have to happen gradually.
We've got everybody bedded down separate, bar the 3 older ladies. We've left them together in the big playroom, and then everybody else is individually side by side. But already tonight, I mean, you can't judge anything in the first 5 minutes, but already tonight, ladies who haven't been housed together are alongside the mesh, saying hello, reaching out, touching each other. It's all good signs so far.
The macaques were looked after by a veterinary team in Scotland. But only time will tell what effect years of living in the confines of a medical research facility will have had on these monkeys.
It's been a huge success, and I'm just over the moon and really proud of everybody here. And the Stumpies, of course, they're just fantastic. We all love them to bits, you know. Ugly and proud.
Next time on Monkey Life, the Stumpy ladies vie for position of top dog.
It looks sort of bad when one individual gets chased down and grabbed, but then just as quickly somebody else will jump in and have a go at the aggressor.
And there's excitement at the park as 2 new arrivals head in from Switzerland.
As of this year, there's only 47 woolly monkeys left in the breeding programme. Another 2 joining the fold is a brilliant event for us.
Today on Monkey Life. It's an anxious time for the staff as they welcome 2 new arrivals from Switzerland.
We feel confident that we're good at looking after woolly monkeys, but it's still a bit nerve-wracking.
Vying for position, the new Stumpies are packing their punches.
I wouldn't want to mess with them.
And it's kick-off at the Orang nursery. Monkey World in Dorset is the largest sanctuary of its kind on the planet. Dr. Alison Cronin and her team devote their lives to rescuing and rehabilitating primates from all over the world.
I think in a week's time he's going to be quite difficult to contain.
It's been a difficult couple of days at the park. Woolly monkey Urema has been keeping the staff on their toes.
I don't know what it is, but whenever anything sort of new, different, exciting, scary, whatever it is happens, it always happens at the weekend. And sure enough, on Saturday morning, I got a phone call from Holly to say Urema's given birth. Of course, having cared for 2 other babies perfectly, we didn't expect any problems whatsoever. So I was pleased at first, and then Holly said, but there's a problem.
Rather than the newborn being tucked up with his mother, the baby was found clinging on to its father.
Bueno, the father, has hold of the baby, and Urema's not even looking at it.
This is not the first time that Bueno has been found holding the baby.
I knew that he would probably be good with the baby, that he wasn't going to harm it because he had done the same with Julio. Now, we presume that Julio's mum, who was a first-time mum, had actually abandoned her infant and Bueno had picked it up. This is the second time now he's had hold of an infant, and I'm beginning to wonder if Bueno realizes that when the baby comes, it also comes with effectively snacks, the placenta and everything else that comes, which is very nutritional and good.
But it's dangerous for the newborn to be separated from its mother. It would only survive for 24 hours without fluids, so the team had to intervene.
We anesthetized both Bueno and Urema and took the baby off of Bueno, had Urema down, made sure she was fine, and we put the baby back on, and sure enough, when she woke up, She looked down and didn't seem too bothered and started cuddling the baby and touched a lot of wood. We haven't looked back since.
Woolly monkeys are critically endangered in the wild and notoriously difficult to breed in captivity. So every single birth is extremely important. Monkey World is the most successful place in the world at the moment for breeding woolly monkeys, and zoos around Europe are now looking to them for help. The park currently has 2 separate groups of woollies, but they're about to create a third, as they've just been asked to rehome 2 more.
This evening, we've got the first pair arriving in from Switzerland. So very exciting time, and we now have the opportunity to start setting up with these 3 separate groups stable, unrelated bloodlines and keep as much genetic diversity as possible. We're feeling very optimistic right now at the park about our woolly monkeys.
Monkey World is a rescue centre, and as such, many of the primates that arrive here are in need of medical care.
Okay. Right.
One chimp who has recently given the staff cause for concern is Athena. She had an ulcer on her eye and had to have it removed. The staff have been monitoring her carefully to make sure the problem has gone away. Athena is in Paddy's group. The chimps sleep indoors at night, making themselves comfortable with blankets or wood wool. Every morning, the staff do a quick check on them to make sure they're all healthy before they go outside for breakfast. Today, Kathy is the first out.
Good girl.
She's always pretty cooperative.
Mouth, good girl. Open, wide. Good girl.
Unlike the next 3.
All right.
Beth, Buster and mischievous Gamba, who are far more excitable.
Beth, good girl. In the grey. Good girl, Beth.
Now it's Athena's turn.
Come on, sweetheart.
But Paddy's son, baby Bart, cheekily nips in ahead of her.
Hi.
Athena's eye seems to have healed well, and she's finally stopped rubbing it.
She looks great. Really good now. I think the eye's, completely back to normal, and that's a relief because it was obviously quite distressing for her. You can see this morning she's anxious to go out, so it's good to see. She's a very sweet-natured chimp, fairly low-ranking, but she does have some friends in the group. She's very keen on Bart, and you can see Bart's come in the tunnel with her this morning. He's sat with her, so that's nice, but she's a really important and valued member of the group, so it's a relief to see that she's back to full health.
Bart gets along well with everyone in his group. Being the baby and the boss's son definitely has its advantages.
Obviously, Bart has the baby status in the group, so he's like a prized possession that everyone wants to get a piece of him. He just swaps around. You see often other individuals do carry him. So he is like everyone's son, really, in terms of the group.
Dad Paddy has a great relationship with his son and spends a lot of time with him.
Paddy's an excellent role model for Bart. Not only is he a great alpha male of the group, obviously one day Bart may be ruling a group of his own like this, maybe even this group, and to learn from someone like Paddy is great for him. Young juvenile males obviously spend their time with a lot of group members in that time, but as they reach sexual maturity, they would start naturally spending much more time with the males. So it's really good to see that he's obviously has a good relationship with Paddy right from the word go. He carries him around, he plays with him.
But Paddy's also protective of Bart, especially if anyone like Gamba gets a bit rough.
I don't think we could have wished for a better dad or father figure than Paddy for Bart. I think he's a lucky guy.
Bart's fortunate that he has both parents to learn from. Many of the primates at the centre are on their own, either because they are orphans or because their mothers rejected them. At the orang nursery, Arme acts as a foster mum to the youngsters, and today the staff are encouraging them to get a little exercise.
We're going to have a real ball fest over in the orang nursery, and I think they're really going to enjoy it, or they'll destroy them like the big uns. But hopefully they'll last a little bit longer because slightly smaller teeth.
Arme, who has very few teeth, decides to test out the balls first.
She'll try and pop them because we do use enrichment in this way and we'll put stuff in, so her instinct straight away is to break the ball open and see what's inside. Linger's probably more likely to carry it around kind of like a child does with a rag doll, but I suspect Arme's going to go straight for the kill and she'll destroy all the balls. Play is really important, particularly with the smaller ones. That's how you learn. So although, you know, they're playing and it looks like they're messing around, they're learning as well at the same time. They're also secretly watching Arme and watching and learning off of her. Arme is a great sort of like influence. You know, if Arme does something, it's amazing. Jolie, within 2 or 3 days, will then start copying that behaviour. And Arme's good. She plays and teaches at the same time as well.
Keeping an eye on the young ones can be exhausting. So once Arme's happy they're keeping themselves entertained, she takes time out for a nap. Preparations are underway to welcome 2 new residents who are due to arrive later today. The park has been asked to rehome 2 woolly monkeys from Basel Zoo in Switzerland. They'll be tired after their 700-mile journey, so Holly and Laura are making sure everything is ready for them in the house that's been specially refurbished.
They're 20 years old, so they're both getting on a little bit. And at the moment, we're just making the house nice and comfortable for them. We're putting in things like wood wool to give them something nice and soft to sleep in. We've put lots of new hosing up that they'll be able to swing round on, painted it a nice colour to try and make them feel impressed with their new house. And we're starting to prepare some food, insects and that kind of thing that will hopefully make their new house quite exciting. The house that we're using for the new woolly monkeys used to be a chimp house, so everything's designed for big, heavy, dangerous animals, whereas woolly monkeys are a lot smaller, their needs are very different. So we've actually had every sliding door in the building replaced with nice, light plastic slides that are woolly monkey friendly, hopefully moving the animals a lot easier. They've crated, they're in the car, they're on their way, but woolly monkeys are really, really easily stressed animals, and so to have a 12, 15-hour car journey and a ferry trip, it's going to be a very scary time for them. Even though it's going to be a very late night, nothing will keep us away. There's going to be quite a crowd of us this evening when they arrive. It's been a long wait and everybody's looking forward to meeting them.
While the primate care staff await their new charges, over at the Stumpie house, 10 other new residents are exploring their purpose-built home. These ugly monkeys have been retired from a lab facility in Scotland. Until now, they've only ever lived in small groups, but today all the females are being put together.
At the lab, there was a group of 5 ladies, a group of 3 ladies, and then Wilmot and his female, the pair. I'm hopeful that this morning we're going to be able to bung Charlie through it into the 3 older ladies, Rachel there after her, and then we can leave Wilmot with a couple of bedrooms to wait it out until we're ready for him. And then on the other side of the building, we've got the more dominant females. Then we'll try and file them through as well and then be able to give all of the ladies, if they'll all stay together and be nice about it, the playroom and then 4 bedrooms.
Maureen is the first to go calling. Alison is concerned about the lowest-ranking macaques.
We just have to make sure that nobody ends up getting really picked on, because my biggest concern right now, quite frankly, is Charlie. She gets kicked around. She's got a few scratches on her back, which are superficial, not a problem. She's clearly at the bottom of the heap and a bit stressed out about it.
Fingers and Cola join Maureen, and Charlie gets a bit of rough treatment from the more dominant girls.
Cola, Fingers, and Maureen are a force to contend with. I wouldn't want to mess with them.
For some of the more dominant females, this could lead to friction. And it's not long before rivalries begin to bubble over.
So Noreen's staging a re-takeover bid from Maureen. Where did Maureen go? All the way through. Okay, well, if you guys can keep track of this, I'll be impressed. Maureen's on her side.
Maureen takes a submissive pose, so Noreen's aggression has paid off. And Cola takes the opportunity to put Kelly in her place too.
We have a few handbags swinging, and it really is just that. It looks sort of bad when one individual gets chased down and grabbed, but then just as quickly somebody else will jump in and have a go at the aggressor. So it all seems to dissipate and end as quickly as it starts.
When one gets excited, it quickly spreads to the whole group.
Rachel's very vocal, and when she vocalizes, it winds them all up and they all come running and have issues.
Wilmot, the only male, seems bewildered by all the fuss.
Jeremy Wilmot's looking to you for support. It's like, help. Wilmot's not been brave enough to even venture into the next door bedroom to all 9 ladies. He's just still hanging back, looking a little bit shell-shocked. The whole pecking order has to be sorted out here. So far, nobody's getting totally focused on and picked on. Thumb shoving match happening right now. First day, and we've got the 9 ladies together. It's what I had hoped for. And now we'll just have to see if it lasts, and then how brave Wilmot is to take them all on.
The Stumpies are not the only residents who've been retired from a laboratory. 2 years ago, the park took charge of 88 Capuchins who had spent their lives in a lab in Chile. Capuchins are naturally inquisitive, and today the boys are being put to the test by the keepers.
It's a puzzle feeder which will be suspended, and what we'll do is hide in food inside it, and the boys will have to work out how to get the food out, balancing on it so they can actually stay on it and get the food out.
The feeder is filled with all sorts of goodies, from monkey nuts to dried pineapple. Gorillon, the dominant male, leads the way. But it's Fabian who notices the puzzle feeder first and goes to investigate. Gorillon seems happy to let the others work it out first. But maybe he'll change his mind now that Erico has started reaping rewards. Capuchins are one of the most intelligent small monkeys. They're the most dexterous of all non-human primates. In the wild, they're very resourceful at both finding food and, if necessary, cracking it open. Gorillon is still surprisingly reticent. Maybe he's realised it's not very safe with Erico on board. Capuchins are very good at problem solving, and they don't give up easily. Archie decides to approach it from a different angle. Clever Franco has decided enough's enough. He needs to get the feeder on the ground, so he looks for a way to undo it. The lazy option, of course, is just to hang around and wait for the food to come to you. Since they arrived at the park, the boys have lived in a house that was specially built for them, and a small outdoor space. But building work is now underway on a brand new, bigger enclosure, which will incorporate some of the trees at the park.
I always had in my mind when we placed the house in this area that the stand of trees behind the house would be the perfect home for them. I think it'll just bring them together tighter as a group, give them more space, which should be more relaxing for them, and I expect we'll see even more natural behaviors coming out.
A forest will be a challenge for a group who have spent most of their lives locked inside.
They started out, when we first met them, in tiny, tiny laboratory cages with nothing to occupy their time, nothing to keep them physically fit. They've got to bring everything to the party to go out into the forest. They've got to get on with each other. They've got to negotiate the flexible limbs and leaping from tree to tree and basically make this their home. They're never going to be totally natural monkeys. There's always going to be little shadows and little ghosts of what their life was in the past. But we're going to give them the opportunity to exhibit all of the natural behaviors as well.
It's the end of a long day, and the two new woolly monkeys have finally arrived from Switzerland. It's hoped this pair will bring fresh bloodlines to the woolly monkey breeding programme, as neither have had infants before. Everyone is keen to get them settled in as soon as possible. The female, Quappa, is the first to be released. But it's immediately obvious to Alison there's something unusual about her.
She is really small. She's 12 years old, so she's fully mature, and she's at least a third, if not a half, smaller than our ladies. So we'll hope to get her muscles built up and a bit of weight put onto her.
The team have concerns about the male woolly, Oaska, because he's old and he comes with a reputation of being a little overexcitable. So, as a precaution, they're releasing him into a separate bedroom first.
You want to open that slide now? And then see, how far do I have to open this door?
I think you're looking pretty good as long as you can keep it crushed up.
Yeah, that's good. Everybody ready?
Yeah. Come on then. Boy. Yeah, you're good.
But after a few moments, Alison decides he should be reunited with Quappa.
They're both in great shape. Obviously, a bit freaked out about being in the new house. Those are all alarm calls that we're hearing right now.
They're both absolutely gorgeous. They're both a bit worried at the moment, but yeah, it's gone fantastically. They're both here safely. Given that the male's quite old, it was always a risk in transporting them, but they've got here okay, and we're quite excited.
Holly, I reckon we should all clear out if you want to give them some food, and we'll let them settle down.
Off to bed. It's going to be a very early morning in the morning, coming to make sure they're okay, but totally worth coming in.
Next time on Monkey Life. Old Stumpy Gerald is rushed to the operating theatre.
This is not good.
He's not breathing now.
And moving in with Mum, baby Mikado goes it alone.
You're a gibbon again, little man.
Today on Monkey Life, elderly Stumpy Gerald is rushed to the operating theatre.
Almost certainly that something's gone wrong with his heart.
It's an anxious time for Mike when Mikado moves in with foster mum Alex.
Obviously you have to wait for the animals to see what they're going to do.
And the woolly monkeys are having a ball. This is Monkey World in Dorset. It's home to more than 240 monkeys and apes and is the largest sanctuary of its kind on the planet. Dr. Alison Cronin and her team dedicate their lives to rescuing and rehabilitating primates from all over the world.
We've really done everything we can to make her journey as smooth as possible.
Some of the residents have been at the park since it opened in 1987 and are quite elderly now. Others were at retirement age when they arrived. The care staff try to make their remaining years as comfortable as possible, and this involves regular health checks. Recently, the veterinary team have become extremely concerned about Geriatric stump-tailed macaque, Gerald. His condition has deteriorated, and they've decided they need to investigate urgently.
What he's presented with quite suddenly is fluid on his skin. It's all hanging down like this and all around his groin. He's suddenly shown weight loss. I think these signs are not good because they are going to tell me almost certainly that something's gone wrong with his heart or there's something more sinister going on.
Vet Mike has anaesthetised Gerald so he can carry out a full examination.
We do a lateral first, Penny.
Animal Director Jeremy Keeling is on hand to help.
One goes like that.
Putting any of the primates under anaesthetic is risky, but particularly elderly ones. So Mike doesn't hang around.
That's in.
Once he's sure Gerald's asleep, he checks his stomach.
The most obvious feature that you see is this swelling here. It's on both sides. It's very hard and slightly fluidy above, but it's actually very, very solid, this tissue. It could be a cancer affecting that area.
An X-ray will help Mike determine exactly what's wrong. Gerald arrived at Monkey World in 2000. He was rehomed along with 18 other Stumpies from a British laboratory where he'd been used to test asthma drugs. Over the years, many of these macaques have had respiratory problems. The X-ray results should throw some light on Gerald's situation, but Mike knows the odds are against the old Stumpie. As the primates grow older, they're given supplements by the staff to make sure they get all the nutrients they need. Some of the smaller monkeys often lack an essential vitamin which is taken for granted.
It's vitamin D3 day for the common marmosets today. We give vitamin D3 to our squirrel monkeys and marmosets weekly, and the vitamin D3 is basically a supplement to substitute a vitamin they get naturally from sunlight in the wild. Lack of D3 can cause many problems, main one being to do with bone diseases and rickets.
Like all the primates at the park, marmosets are not native to the UK. They come from Brazil and would normally be exposed to more sunlight in the tropics. But the life some of them have led certainly hasn't helped.
A lot of our marmosets either come from the pet trade or from laboratories. Many of them were kept inside, never got access outside to the sunlight, or their owners didn't give them the vitamin D3 they were supposed to give them. And we have a number of animals here that suffer greatly. You've got Betty Boo, the common marmoset, who I'm going to give D3 to today. Most of her bones are very brittle, and nowadays she's all hunched up, she shuffles around, her tail's all bent and wonky.
It's vital for the old marmoset to take her D3, but getting it into her requires some cunning.
Betty's a little old lady. We like to make sure that she's eating healthily and plenty, so we'll give her hers in a nice big grub today.
Live grubs are used as part of the marmoset's diet. Toby is hoping she won't even notice the D3.
Hey, Betty.
Betty has lost most of her teeth and isn't quite sure how to tackle the large grub.
It's bigger than the sort of mealworms and waxworms and things she'd normally have, and obviously last time Betty had them, her eyesight was slightly better and she was slightly more mobile, so I think we're going to have to try a smaller insect like a waxworm or a locust for Betty today. So we'll give this to one of the other younger ones with teeth, and Betty can have hers in something smaller.
It's good news for Kayla, who gets Betty's grub, and Nathan, who also benefits. And Betty Boo doesn't miss out on her D3 because Toby gives her a waxworm that's a little more her size. The team at Monkey World are constantly looking for ways of enhancing the lives of the older primates, and that sometimes means bringing in the builders. Today, work is going on in the woolly monkey enclosure, which will hopefully help oldest resident Susie.
Susie's a very, very old woolly monkey. She's 38, which is significantly past her life expectancy. She's the oldest woolly monkey on record in the world, so she's a little bit more delicate than everybody else, and she suffers from arthritis, so she's a little bit achy, and sometimes sitting in the warm alleviates some of the achiness. So she is a big one for sunbathing. So we thought if we build a nice big platform outside of the door that she likes to use into the enclosure, she'll have a nice big space that she can relax on, and hopefully she'll feel nice and comfortable.
But it's not just Susie getting all the attention. The staff are taking the opportunity to improve the enclosure for the whole group.
We've re-roped the enclosure. The ropes are attached to branches in the trees, so when the branches break in high winds in the winter, some of them fall down, so we've had to repair them. And we thought, while we were doing that, why not put some more in to sort of make it a bit more new and exciting for them.
While the work is going on outside, the woolies haven't got access to their enclosure, and Holly is keen to keep the group happy and entertained. So today, she's trying something new.
Well, in this box, we've got a whole bunch of different really exciting things that we're hoping the woolies are going to like. We've got footballs, which we know they enjoy anyway, and a whole bunch of little plastic balls that they normally use in children's play pits. Woolly monkeys can be a bit neophobic, so they're frightened of new things, which in the wild keeps them safe, but in captivity sometimes makes it difficult to keep them amused. So what we've done is we've hidden a few snacks in the bottom of the box in the hope that that will tempt them in, and then they'll realise that it's quite good fun.
But it won't all be fun and games for leader of the group, Levar. As alpha male, Holly's expecting him to mark his territory.
I'm really hoping Levar's going to enjoy this. He's particularly keen on footballs, not to play with, but he likes to scent mark them. Part of the dominant male's job is to claim his territory with scent, and they do that by spitting on things and then rubbing it on the scent glands on their chest. So we're hoping we might see him doing that with some of these.
Female Kuna is first in, but she leaves the boys to investigate the balls. Levar goes straight over to check out the box. And just as Holly hoped, he immediately starts scent marking.
Good lad, Levar, that's just what we wanted.
Like father, like son, Diego tries to copy his dad's example. Now the girls see the box is safe. Females Piquita and Kuna are happy to come and look for themselves. While Diego's trying to eat his ball, Levar is still scent marking.
So often we'll find Levar rubbing footballs on his chest and dribbling all over them, which looks a little strange, but it's very important for his role in the group.
Second in command, Bronco, however, is left with just a box to mark. Boys will be boys, and before long, Diego and Julio decide they need a bit more action. But it's all a bit much for poor old Susie, who wants a quiet life. At the hospital, the team are anxiously poring over Gerald's X-ray results. Recently, he's been losing weight and developed swellings on his body. The park's vet, Mike, fears the elderly Stumpy could have a very serious heart problem or cancer.
You've got a very weak heart shadow. You can't see it clearly at all, which says there's fluid in the chest. I haven't got a properly inflated front part of his lung. I can't rule out whether it's a heart problem or whether I actually have got an active tumour here, which is causing the other problems. It can be both.
Mike decides he needs more X-rays to give different views of Gerald's heart and lungs.
They all
They all go out of the room while the X-ray's taken. But then suddenly, Gerald's condition worsens.
Double check that. Pull the plate out, Jeremy. You double check that again. He's gone quite light. In place.
Still in place.
This is not good.
He's not breathing now.
The team do everything they can to save him.
His heart's still going.
Yeah.
But Gerald isn't responding.
I think there's enough on that to say to put him to sleep, unfortunately.
Mike has no option but to put Gerald out of his pain.
We're dealing with an animal here who we want to give a quality of life to where we can, and when we can't, let him go. Don't let him suffer.
It's sad whenever there's a death at the park, but Gerald lived a long life, and thanks to Monkey World, his last years were happy.
When you're aware that an animal is has all these issues, then it's sort of, you live day by day and, see how they go. And then all of a sudden you realise, goodness me, he's been here for 10 years. That's pretty good. And if we can just give these guys a nice time and, make them happy, and that's something I say to the staff quite often, just make them happy. Whatever, make them happy. And then, every day's a bonus, isn't it?
Mikado, a baby gibbon, is just beginning his life at the park. Since his arrival, he's been looked after by Mike, but the time has finally come for him to move into the gibbon house for good.
It's not all fun and games.
The team have designed and fitted out a playroom for Mikado in his new home, and he's been visiting it every day in preparation for his big move. Mikado has become very attached to Mike, but it was always the intention for him to live with the other gibbons as soon as possible.
He's getting a big boy now. He desperately needs to be in that big bedroom so that he can play around and develop, and to take him backwards and forwards. It's not really good for him now. We feel that he is really up to the point where he should be down there permanently, live the life of a gibbon, have plenty of room to climb around, forget humans and become a proper gibbon. So the time has come now for him to meet Alex.
The team are hoping Alex will make a good foster mum for Mikado. She was brought to Monkey World in 2000 from a rescue centre in Taiwan, where she'd been saved from the illegal pet trade. It's not the first time she'll have fostered a baby. She looked after Peng Yo when he was little and made a great job of it. So the staff are hopeful she'll be as successful this time around.
Hey, Mikado. Hello. Are you asleep? You're having a little kip. This is your big day. You're going into your big bedroom. Come on, wake up. What? Hey? What are you doing down there? I know it's nice and cosy down there, isn't it? It's all right. There's a good boy. Right, little one. Look, here's your new bedroom. Look at this. Wow. Come on.
As Mikado settles into his new playroom, Alex watches curiously. She knows something big is about to happen. This is an important day for the park, and Alison has come along to watch.
Mike and the Gibbon team have just done a sterling job bringing up this little boy. I mean, I've done one babysitting evening, but I think that was it, and I left them to get on with it. And they've reared a lovely little lad, and it's graduation day.
The team are on tenterhooks as Leanne opens the slide to let Alex into Mikado's room. They don't know how either of the gibbons will react to each other. Mikado seems nervous and stays in the safety of his basket. Alex approaches Mikado to see what all the fuss is about. But once she's had a look at him, she backs off and returns to her own room.
Obviously, you have to wait for the animals to see what they're going to do.
Sensing there's no danger, Mikado ventures out.
For first introduction, absolutely brilliant. Alex is making herself available, but not going at him, which makes him at ease and actually curious. Why aren't you coming at me? You turned your back and walked away. Ooh, I must follow you.
While Alex has a snack next door, Mikado makes himself at home. It's a proud moment for Mike.
Yeah, it's been fantastic to do. You know, all these hand rearings are just amazing. You know, it takes a chunk out of your life, but, you know, to see this, it's just, I don't know, it's a difficult thing to sort of express.
Mikado's confidence is growing with every leap, and when Alex returns, he goes over to say hello. This time, it's Alex who seems a bit unsure.
He's just taken everything in his stride. It's just fantastic. Good girl.
It's early days, but the first signs are promising.
It's perfect because she's not focusing on him. It instantly makes him feel at ease to go towards her. So all things being equal and well, I'd like to leave him staying here tonight. And you're a gibbon again, little man. Good boy.
Golden-cheeked gibbons come from Southeast Asia. In Vietnam, Monkey World has a sister sanctuary which rescues gibbons like Mikado with the hope of eventually releasing them back into the wild. Alison is currently preparing for a trip to Vietnam when it's hoped 2 of the gibbons, Mary and Lily, will be set free. Once released, they'll be tracked and monitored electronically by using special collars. But Alison needs to test the tracking system before she goes, and so has enlisted the help of a faithful friend.
Are we gonna go? Yay! Come here, Bella!
One of the lesser-known members of Alison's team is her Great Dane, Bella.
Come on.
Bella is always keen to go for a walk through the woodlands that surround the park, but today, Alison's got an ulterior motive.
Bella's going to help us out today by testing a GPS collar for Vietnam. And, you know, this isn't exactly the Vietnamese rainforest, and she's not exactly a gibbon. But what we're doing is testing this out just to see how it transmits up to a satellite and then back down to a computer or even a cell phone to give readings on where the collar moves to and from. So basically, this is a prototype for our gibbons in Vietnam.
Marina Kenyon is in charge of the centre in Vietnam. She's flown over for a visit to help test out the tracking system. A GPS signal will be sent from Bella's collar via a satellite to a computer in the park lodge.
At the moment, the collar is set up so every 20 minutes, it will talk to the satellites and collect coordinates for that location. So we can look at the data and actually see if it managed to get coordinates every 20 minutes. And if it missed any, why did it miss some? Was it because it was too thick a forest, or maybe it was, at that point, it was in a building. The woods here are actually a similar height to the forest in Vietnam because it's not very high, but they're not as dense. But Bella's on the floor and the gibbons will be high up. So my theory is if it works here, when Bella runs through the forest, it's actually going to work in Vietnam.
If Mary and Lily's release is a success, it could pave the way for some of Monkey World's gibbons to be released back into the wild in Vietnam at some point in the future.
I'm all right? Yeah, okay, let's go.
Alison and Bella charge through the woods, while Marina checks the incoming data.
Let's go this way, come on.
Each day in the forest, we'll have our ground team going out to the coordinates and finding Mary and Lily and checking they're okay, studying their behaviour, seeing if they're interacting with other wildlife well. This just helps the ground team get to them closer, and also it saves that extra data when the ground team aren't there.
After a couple of hours in the forest, it looks like Bella's hard work has paid off.
We've managed to get readings just about at every point. So far, the collar hasn't let us down, but we haven't finished testing it yet. The collar is 270 grams. The key is getting the collar small enough.
This is a problem. It'll be a while before a lighter GPS collar is available, and Alison and Marina are due to fly out to Vietnam within weeks, so they need to find an alternative. With this in mind, Alison heads to a company in Dorset who are specialists in radio tagging for wild animals to see if there's another option.
So these are radio collars different from GPS collars.
They are. The GPS collars are lovely because they give you the exact position. The real problem is the bulk of the GPS collar. If you want them to last any time, then they're really quite large on the animals.
So roughly these were about how much weight? How many
About
grams?
45 grams. So you go off with your antenna that looks like a television aerial.
Yeah.
You get a direction, you move to another place, get a direction. Then potentially you can walk in on them if you're happy enough to disturb them.
Yeah.
If you don't want to disturb them, then you can just triangulate, find out where they are and leave them alone.
Okay, fantastic.
So it looks like radio collars are the answer for now. They'll allow the team to track the gibbons when they're released and ensure they're okay.
We need to know that everything we've done up until the point that we wave goodbye, we've done correctly. And these radio collars are critical to being able to locate them, follow them, and get that information to know that the gibbons are good.
Next time on Monkey Life, Alison heads to Vietnam with the radio collars. But after years in captivity, will they be able to persuade the gibbons to go it alone?
Trepidation, nerves, emotion, oof, it's all there.
Today, a Monkey Life special, as Alison travels to Vietnam to release 2 golden-cheeked gibbons back into their natural habitat.
Trepidation, nerves, emotion, oof, it's all there.
But the mission's in jeopardy when one of the gibbons refuses to cooperate.
We have to delay her, darting her to it another day because she's so upset now.
After years in captivity, will the gibbons have the courage to make a break for freedom? This is Dao Tien Rescue Centre in Vietnam.
Whoa.
It's the sister sanctuary of Monkey World in Dorset, and the staff here dedicate their lives to rescuing and rehabilitating Vietnamese primates.
We just would like to make a nice life for the monkey.
Alison has travelled 6,000 miles from the UK to visit Dao Tien, which lies 160 miles northeast of the capital, Ho Chi Minh City. At the airport, Alison meets up with Dr. Curtis Pei, who's flown in from Taiwan.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, you too.
Curtis helped set up the centre in 2007. Consultant vet Uli Stryker is also making a special visit. She's assisted the team in Vietnam many times before. Marina Kenyon used to work at Monkey World, but is now in charge at Dao Tien. Vietnam, like many countries, has a huge problem with the illegal trade in wildlife. Poaching and smuggling are common, and the law is difficult to enforce. Alison and her late husband Jim Cronin planned to set up this centre to protect some of the most endangered local species, including langurs, pygmy loris, and golden-cheeked gibbons.
The development of Dao Tien has been incredibly quick. Within 3 years, not only have we developed a site that was totally virgin rainforest, but we've already brought animals in, rehabilitated them, and are putting them back out. And I believe it's unparalleled.
Dao Tien was chosen because it's an island on the edge of Cat Tien National Park. Being surrounded by water, it's a perfect place to release gibbons back into the trees, because there's a limit to where they can go, and therefore the staff will be able to track their progress.
Everything to the right is the semi-wild habitat. The gibbons that we're about to release will go into that side. It's quite a nice large area with good primary trees and good fruiting trees, so the gibbons might be able to survive in there on their own.
Alison visits Dao Tien regularly. But this trip has been a long time in the planning. The 2 golden-cheeked gibbons who are going to be released have been carefully chosen by the team. Lily is a male gibbon. They'd known of him for many years before he came to the centre. Alison and Jim were tipped off that he was living on his own in a cage at a petrol station. He was one of the first gibbons to be confiscated by the Vietnamese authorities and taken to Dao Tien when it opened.
I was looking at him today thinking he hasn't changed at all in his face in the last 8 years. He still looks that really handsome young gibbon. I'm actually very pleased that he's the first one because he really deserves a chance to get back into those trees.
His partner, Mary, was rescued after a hunter caught her in the wild. In their natural habitat, gibbons live in pairs. Marina put Lily and Mary together, and fortunately, they've made a great match. Lee helps Marina to run the sanctuary. He wants the gibbons to get plenty of rest before they're let loose into the trees.
So what I'm going to do now is give them some food, give them some water, and hopefully they'll eat and then settle down for the night. We're sort of there with these guys, you know, big day tomorrow, and then hopefully out they go.
Before Mary and Lily are released, they need to have radio collars put on so the team can track their progress and make sure they're coping on their own.
Put it through up there, secure it, and then decide where your weak link is.
But once they know they're okay, the team want the radio collars to fall off the gibbons so they can use them again. They've called a meeting to try and work out the best way of doing this.
A big needle, you can actually just thread this onto a needle.
You can do that, you can use it.
We're trying to estimate which material will keep these attached to the gibbons, but then at approximately 10 months, will drop off. And if they're doing well, then we want to leave them alone. We don't want to have to try and dart them or catch them again. I reckon these things will go quicker maybe than the dental floss with wax.
Think that should work?
In the end, the dental floss wins. Good for your teeth, good for your radio collar.
Mary and Lily are going to be released into a 20-hectare site at the top of the island. The team have erected a huge fence to cordon off the gibbons' special area. This was a massive undertaking, and several members of staff from Monkey World, including Animal Director Jeremy, who has built many electric fences at the park, flew to Vietnam to help. The fence has been cleverly designed to protect Mary and Lily in all seasons.
We're in the dry season now. The river will probably go 2 metres above my head at high floods in the wet season. So the way this part of the fence has been designed by Jeremy is that we have floodgate controllers. Is so that when the water comes up and hits the first electric wire on the fence, the floodgate controller will feel the resistance, and the way it works, it'll actually stop that part of the fence working so that the rest of the fence doesn't stop, because it's vitally important that, you know, we've got to keep the gibbons in.
There are currently 27 golden-cheeked gibbons at Dao Tien, but not all of them are suitable for releasing back into the wild. 7 of them have diseases which could spread among the wild golden-cheeked population. They can't stay at the centre because, unlike Monkey World, Dao Tien is not designed to provide a home for these primates for the rest of their lives. So the team need to find alternative wildlife parks that'll look after them. Today, Alison and Marina are travelling to Madagoy Forest Park, which cares for a variety of wild animals.
It's an exciting time. It's a little bit different than returning animals to the wild, but it's all part of the project to get golden-cheeked gibbons out of the illegal market and into suitable accommodation, whether that's back out into the forest or in a captive situation that's good welfare.
Marina and Alison are working with the full cooperation of the Vietnamese authorities. Madagoy want to help, but at the moment their facilities aren't good enough. However, they are keen to learn from the team at Dao Tien.
The situation's not ideal, but we're trying to embrace Madagoy because it's a local park and get them to start displaying the wildlife that they do have in a more natural way and to work with us on conservation. And we have to begin somewhere, and it's a place like this.
It's just nothing like I imagined. I think I need 5 minutes just to come back down to the real world and realise there's a lot of work to do. I need to realise it's lots of little steps. It's not big leaps. The good thing is they're willing to listen to our advice and they want our help, which is great. And I think once they see that, they will then rise to the challenge and move on.
While Marina and Alison head back from Madagoy, Vet Uli is getting ready to dart Mary and Lily. To be able to put the radio collars on the gibbons, she'll have to anaesthetise them.
Oh boy.
She starts with Lily. As he's been around humans all his life, the blowpipe doesn't bother him much. Uli soon gets a clear shot.
Once they hang on with their hands really, really long, that's the last thing that basically falls asleep.
It only takes a few minutes for the drug to start taking effect. Once it's safe to go into the enclosure, Uli and Lee carefully put Lily into the carrying crate.
You're next.
Mary's been keeping a careful eye on her mate. As there are risks involved with anaesthetics, the primates are only put under when absolutely necessary. Uli takes the opportunity to do a quick health check on Lily.
Otherwise, you look good. He has the tops of the canines clipped. It's either broken on the cage, biting in the bars, or they intentionally clipped by people to make them less sharp.
We've checked his teeth, we've double-checked his DNA, so when he goes into the forest, yes, he's very strong.
Now the pressure's on. The anaesthetic will start to wear off in 20 minutes.
If it's too tight, it will affect swallowing, eating, and movement.
Lily and Mary are about to make history. They'll be the first gibbons ever to be radio collared.
I think I'm happy with that, actually.
When he's out of the box, then we'll see what he thinks of the next stage in his life, which is life with a collar.
So, one down, one to go. Now it's Mary's turn.
Oh, yeah.
But she saw what happened to Lily and is wary.
Can't even point at her properly because as soon as I do, she's gonna move.
Mary is just too quick for Uli.
It's just impossible. It's impossible to catch your breath. It's just impossible.
Uli knew Mary was going to be more difficult to dart because, unlike Lily, she spent many years in the wild before she was taken into captivity. So her survival instinct and fear of humans is strong.
You miss them once or twice, they'll learn it. They hear the sound, so they know exactly what's happening, and then it gets worse.
The more she tries, the more agitated Mary is getting.
We have to delay her, darting her, do it another day because she's so upset now. It doesn't work.
It's early morning at Dao Tien Rescue Center in Vietnam. Lily has spent the night on his own in a holding cage within the 20-hectare site, where it's hoped he and his partner Mary will be released. But Mary still has to be radio collared, and to do that, Vet Uli has to anaesthetize her. The team were hoping she would have calmed down overnight, but she's still agitated, and Uli can't get a clear shot.
Just a bit awkward high to shoot. That's the problem.
This is bad news for the team. If they can't get a radio collar on Mary, the release will have to be abandoned.
Marina and her team have done a brilliant job keeping Mary very wild, but it just means that when we have to get hold of her to put the radio collar on, it makes it really difficult and hard.
The team do their best to distract Mary while Uli tries again.
It's so sad. I just wish that somehow we could tell her, if you just come with us into the box, we'll put a little collar on, then you can go out into the forest and we'll leave you alone.
Lee stands ready with a net to break Mary's fall, but she's outwitting them all. Finally, Uli takes a shot. It's a direct hit. Having spent so long trying to knock her out, the team move quickly.
At this point, we just need to quickly get the collar on and get out of here and get her down into the forest.
With her radio collar secure, Uli gives her a quick once-over and finds a rather large bump.
It feels quite nice and solid. It's not just fat, so it's very possible Mary and Lily have been together long enough. Could well be that she's pregnant. And if the next generation is actually born in the trees, that would just be a really, really nice situation. And also it would make Mary's and Lily's pair bond stronger.
So, with a possible baby on board, Mary is taken to the holding cage to be reunited with Lily.
Hello, mister. I think this morning when he woke up out here all by himself, imagine that was a bit scary. And they do have all of the same emotions as us. Out you go. Yeah. Little rocket lady.
If you go through, that'd be great news.
Good girl. Brilliant. Fantastic. Nice job. My chest is starting to tighten and feel a bit emotional about it because this is the first pair of gibbons that we've got radio collared, and we've got 20 hectares of rainforest stood behind me right now that is going to become their home. You know, you sort of say it flippantly, but it's never been done before.
Having lived in the wild for years before she was captured, the team are hoping that Mary will be able to look after Lily and teach him some survival skills.
I'm very confident that because all the preparation we've done before, and I'm very confident that it's going to work.
But for the release to be successful, the local community needs to be on board. So officials from Dao Tien National Park and the team from Dao Tien have invited villagers to a meeting.
It is very important to have the local communities to understand what we are doing. We also need the local community to support our project.
It's very exciting because this is the final thing now before the gibbons go into the semi-free, and we need to make sure before they go into the 20 hectares that the local people are actually very, very happy. The biggest problem is local people fish on the edge of the island, and their wives and children sometimes come on the island to cut grass. But we need to make sure that stops now, because now it's the time that gibbons are going to be in those trees, and those gibbons need to be away from humans.
A representative from Dao Tien National Park tells the locals that under Vietnamese law, it's illegal to hunt primates or keep them as pets.
It's gone very well. The local people who stood up said they were just so pleased we had come to talk to them, and that they now know, and they actually all want to come to Dao Tien to see as well. So it's very good.
For Mary and Lily, this is the last time they'll bed down in captivity. The next morning, the team are apprehensive as they make their way to the holding cage.
Trepidation, nerves, emotion, oof, it's all there. So it's been a long time in coming.
This area is going to be important for the two gibbons. The team are planning to leave extra food for them here in case they can't find enough. And they need to be able to tempt the gibbons back in case either of them has a problem.
Now it's up to them to learn how to travel and to create a brain map of this area so they know where to find food. But always remembering this is the best tree in town. This is the place to come
You
back
get bananas.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A final inspection, and Uli prepares the tracking device.
Everybody good? All right, let's go.
Mary is the first to make the break for freedom.
Mary's done what we expected, and she's flown out within seconds, climbed up the tree.
Lily is nervous and holds back.
She's waiting for him.
Hopefully she might start talking to him, just kind of remind him, come on, follow me.
Go on, Lily, come on.
Lily was caught from the wild when he was very young, so has never known anything other than captivity.
Lily's had 20 years in a cage. He'd have been 6 months old probably when he was last in a tree. So he's just trying to pretend that nothing's happened and it's just a normal day in a cage.
Mary seems very confident, and to Uli's delight, the radio collars are working.
It's still in the same direction where we saw her last. Probably about 50 to 70 meters away.
Ooh, there she is, she's coming to the front. She is still waiting for him, and it's been a while now.
The team decide to back off and give Lily some space.
He's exhibiting all kinds of displacement activities, scratching a lot. He can't get comfortable, so I think we're gearing up for going out. Hopefully.
Everyone's anxious, but finally, Lily goes for it.
At long last.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It's an emotional time for Alison. Her late husband Jim had dreamt of this day.
Jim knew that a few people could do big things and prevent species from facing extinction. I think if Jim looked around and saw the center, he'd be really pleased because we're doing just that. We really are fulfilling Jim's dream. It's very hard, but it's wonderful.
Now it's up to Mary and Lily to create a new life for themselves and their baby. Next time on Monkey Life.
Ame.
After her unsuccessful meeting with Ame, overweight Oisin is introduced to 2 more orangs in the nursery.
She's got no orang social graces whatsoever.
And it's a big day for the park's latest ugly monkeys.
This is going to be the first day that they've ever stepped outside, ever in their lifetime.